Hello and welcome to Mente de Madre Leona. This is Christina. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This will be Season 2, Episode 9. And today we're going to be talking about energy, how to have more of it or more consistency in it. There will be a blog up on the website as well. So it'll be good energy, momentum, and flow. So I missed wearing my watch the other day, and I have one of those watches that is not operated by a battery. It needs movement in order to wind the wheels and be able to work. So I feel like that is comparable to how we are as humans. We need that movement in our lives to wind our wheels, to create the energy that we need to be able to work. So think about how much time that you engage in activity throughout your day. I would really encourage you to get a fitness tracker. There's some really inexpensive ones on Amazon if you don't already have some sort of an iWatch. And track yourself and see where you're at, because I know I believed I was getting a tremendous amount of activity in the past. And I started wearing an iWatch and came across those circles, and I realized I had never closed them. And it really took a lot of effort on my part to make it routine to be able to close those circles throughout the day and to force myself to get up out of my chair from working on my computer and make the effort to get that extra couple of steps or run around the house, whatever it was, to be able to keep my momentum up throughout the day. So I think it's easy for all of us to think about a lazy Sunday afternoon and how we can feel completely exhausted, even though we probably haven't done anything, but just be lazy that day, and how it can be very hard to get geared up the next day on Monday and to get going for our week. And that's probably why a lot of us don't love Mondays. So I think it's really beneficial if we can try to maintain good activity throughout our days, because we are in a time where a lot of our lives are more sedentary. It's not like we're living in a time where we're having to go and hunt and farm and have a lot of physical labor, unless you're actually doing those things, running a farm, or say nurses. I know nurses are, oh my gosh, they work so hard. So I wanted to give you some of my tips for increasing and maintaining your energy levels. So obviously the very first one, we've just talked about it, is movement. And the more you move, the more you're going to want to move. When you're moving around, your joints get more activity, so they're not as stiff, because we can get very stiff and fatigued just by sitting in one place and not having our blood circulating a whole lot. So, if there are little ways that you can add extra activity to your day, great, do it. If you're making dinner, dance around while you're making dinner, put on some great music. Another great one I always found was, as you do laundry, go put away a little bit at a time, so you'll get extra steps throughout the house or up and down the stairs, instead of just making these large bulk, trips to the kids' room and to your room. So think about that throughout your day. How can you get more movement? And obviously everyone always says, take the stairs or park out further in the parking lot. So let's go a step deeper. Exercise. Everybody, doesn't want to do exercise, but I think it is essential to both your physical health and your mental health. And once you get through the initial period of breaking in at the gym or into a fitness routine in your home, where you get past being sore all the time, or if you can break yourself in more slowly, say by doing cardio and resistance bands, things that are not going to completely cause you an overwhelming amount of stress on your body, where you can slowly allow your body to adapt to this new routine, and then you can work up to more of what you want to do in your exercise routine. Once you get past that initial phase, you will really reap the benefits of exercise, because you will notice that after your workouts, you have an increased amount of energy. And it seems like it would be the opposite way. Like, I just went and exerted myself, I'm not going to have any energy. I'll want to just go take a nap. And it's completely not that way. You will have more energy. So keep that in mind. If you haven't started a new fitness routine yet, don't be hard on yourself at first. Don't go balls to the wall trying to, be Jane Fonda the first day. Slow and easy. Break yourself in, get your joints going again, get your muscles warmed up, really focus on stretching. Even just stretching and breathing provides such an increase in your energy levels. If you don't believe me, just do a couple of really good deep breaths and feel that energy flow through your body. I think also it's easy as women to get really caught up in all of the things that we're doing that we can almost forget to breathe. We are doing this kind of shallow breathing deal. And so we've got to remind ourselves to open our chests up, stand up straight, and really get some deep breaths in. And plus it relaxes us a little bit too. Okay, so the next one is sleep. If you've got small children, I'm with you there on that. I've still got a co-sleeping toddler, so I know that sleep can be, like in our house, it is a hot topic about who got the best sleep last night because they were dealing with the baby. But sleep is just crucial. We can't put it aside. As much as we want to believe that we are always super women, we have to have some rest as well. One thing I do want to say is I do believe that the quality of your sleep is far more important than the quantity of sleep. If you've ever had one of those amazing nights where you fall into a really deep sleep and then you wake up and it's like 3 a.m., but you feel like you got a really long night's rest, it's because you had a really good deep quality of sleep. You need to make sure that your blankets are what you like, your pillows what you like. Like I have to have a fan on, I have to have the rain sound, I have to have pitch black lighting. There's, all these specific things that I have to have before I can get any kind of quality of sleep. So think about those things. Temperature is a huge deal as well, especially if you have a spouse that doesn't have the same things that you need. You need to figure out a way to make that work for both of you because let's face it, we don't really have time to be taking naps throughout the day unless it's just absolutely essential. And we can also get into a pattern of trying to make up for sleep, and that seems to go the opposite direction of making us feel more sleepy than just gaining energy from having sleep. So really focus on the quality. Okay, next one, intermittent fasting. This is so important if it works for you. It allows your body to not be focused on digestion. Digestion can take a tremendous amount of energy away from other parts of your body, especially if you're eating a lot of sugar or bad oils, canola oil, soybean oil, all of those types of things where it's trying to parse out all of these toxins. So being able to intermittent fast, even just 1 or 2 days a week, can really increase your energy levels, because if you are also on a low carb type of diet, like the keto diet, your body is probably in ketosis. So when your body is using up those fat reserves, you see a huge spike in your energy. And then when you add intermittent fasting to it, your energy just will soar. Now, I will say this, you've got to be making sure that you're getting the supplements that you need if you are intermittent intermittent fasting, that's always a tongue twister, and you are in ketosis, there's quite a few of those that are really beneficial to make sure that you're getting enough electrolytes and some of the things that your body flushes out that it doesn't normally flush out because of the ketosis. So look into that. One that comes to mind is HTP, and you always got to make sure that you take that before bed, not during the day, because it will take you down. It will make you sleepy, but it is one of those ones that's really important, but it makes you feel good the next day. Okay. And the last one, lowering your sugar intake. I know this seems so counterproductive because it's like, oh, I'll drink a Coke and I'll feel better. Or I'll eat this and I'll have this energy, piece of cake or whatever. But the truth is, these huge chunks of sugar that we can shove into our body, they're toxic. And, there's obviously a time and a place for treats, because I'm all for that. But on a daily basis, what happens is your blood sugar is all over the place. It's up, it's down. So you're having these huge spikes and then crashes, and that's not what you're trying to do. You want to have a good flow of energy throughout your day, and not having, if you get too much with these spikes, you can also have anxiety problems and all kinds of stuff you don't want. So lowering your sugar intake and really paying attention to how all of the foods that you take into your body affect your energy levels is really, really important. So when you can put together all of these things, movement, exercise, as much good sleep as you can possibly get. I know it's so hard to get good sleep. Intermittent fasting and lowering your sugar intake, you get this compound effect. And honestly, for me, I almost feel effervescent a lot of times because I have so much energy. But I'm really conscious of what I'm doing to cause that to happen. Lastly, I will say this, as far as, if you are a woman of an age where you're still having your cycle, there are ebbs and flows to your energy levels as you progress through your cycle. And I'm sure that you can notice when you've got one of those days or a couple of those days where your energy levels are a lot lower because of hormonal shifts. But all of the things that I've just talked about are really beneficial in evening out those hormones and helping that to not be such a major downer if you have PMS or PMDD or any of those. So when we wind our internal wheels, we keep our energy flow consistent and we keep our internal batteries charged, and it allows us to progress forward on our path to pursue our passions and have that stamina and staying power to be strong during the times that are hard, difficult, or not very exciting, or we come up against really difficult challenges. So one thing I wanted to talk to you guys about also today before I let you go is I've been telling you about books that I've been reading, and if you follow me on Instagram, I'm sure you've seen some of the books that I've been reading. I absolutely love to read. My maiden name is Dewey, like the Dewey Decimal System, so I think it's kind of genetic that I love the library and I love books. But I want to share with you some of the books that I have found to be so inspirational and eye-opening. So the book this week that I'm just going to touch on very briefly is called Medium Mentor by MaryAnn DiMarco. Super fascinating book. You don't have to want to become a medium or a channeler to read this book. She has some really good information about ego versus spirit and just helping you overall in life. And in the past, when I was a very religious person, I never differentiated ego as something that was contrary to the spirit, because I thought ego was something like, oh, you just need to be humble. and so I just thought, oh, ego was something that we just called like the egotistical man. I never really thought about that we each have an ego and a spirit, and we need to try to use our spirit side more, and it's more beneficial in our lives and our relationships to go towards that part of ourselves, our inner selves. And that the ego is the part that can kind of be the loudmouth and cause us problems. So these are MaryAnn's tips for how to check your ego at the door, because it's very easy. The ego part of us can so often want to run the show and be the show on top of that. So she says, number 1 is gratitude. When we express gratitude, we immediately signal that we know our place in things. Number 2, surrender expectations. This starts off with letting go of time frames. Expectations come with a need. Hope does not. There is no disappointment with hope. And number 3, we can disarm the ego by celebrating others. When we begin to feel jealousy or resentment or envy, we can disarm it completely by celebrating and saying, I'm truly excited that this good thing has happened for this person, or their success is just so wonderful to me, and really internalizing that, whether we tell the person that or not, but that we actually feel those emotions. So, super interesting book. Again, it's called Medium Mentor, Marianne DiMarco. She's got a really awesome Instagram page. I came across her in kind of a odd series of events, so I felt like I was almost led to her. So some of this stuff has just been really eye-opening, and so I'm pretty excited to keep learning. And the very last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. This is such an awesome book, super big bestseller. If you haven't heard of it, I'd be totally shocked, because I think it's been around for quite a long time. I had actually listened to Eckhart Tolle before. I couldn't understand what he was talking about, and I was really annoyed, so I just kind of tuned him out and went away from him. So I've been led back to his book by Nancy Rose's wonderful My Spiritual Backpack book. She refers to Eckhart Tolle, so I had to know, because I love her book so much, I had to know more about Eckhart. And he talks about in the preface of his book how if you're not ready to receive his message, you're not going to comprehend it. And now I do comprehend his message. And in fact, I've been taking a very slow journey through his book. I take a segment at a time, internalize it, and make it a part of my life before I move on to build onto that step, over a couple of days, and really think about the things that he talks about. So there was just one little passage I wanted to share with you that I really found to be exciting. He is talking about when we can live in the moment now, instead of having this negative, cycle of thoughts go through our mind of the past, or anxiety and thoughts of the future and uneasiness about what is to come, when we can really focus. So this is what he said. In this state of interconnectedness, you are much more alert, more awake than in the mind identification state. You are fully present. It also raises the vibrational frequency of the energy field that gives life to the physical body. This opens the door to you becoming greater. And that, to me, is what I hope we are all striving for, is to become greater and to learn. So guys, thank you so much for being here with me today. Lots and lots of love. I hope you will join me on my Instagram page and on my website. Talk to you next week. Goodbye.